This is a closer look with RAP, and we are going to here today. We're going to talk about this situation in Providence and where in their task to replace the Raizal culture, the South American state of Colombia has deliberately invaded the archipelago, placing at least 6 South American Spanish-speaking people on the island of San Andres to eat Raizal living there. And that was in a violent rat race, or is in a violent rat race to replace the culture. It is believed that there are around 15,000 Raizal in San Andres surviving in precarious condition among over 100,000 Colombians. Providence and Kathleena have resisted the invasion in part, having today at least 20% of Colombian, or near to 20% of Colombian residing among their 5,000 inhabitants. On November 17, 2020, the IOTA hurricane devastated the entire housing structure of Providence and Kathleena, literally leaving 95% of the inhabitants completely unprotected from the inclemency of the weather. Since that disastrous event, and despite the 8 trips President Ivan Duque made to the municipality, over 90 days have gone and there seems to be no hope for coming back to normal in the near future. The Providence and Kathleena diaspora is very concerned about what is taking place in the islands today, since the state of Colombia is taking advantage of this situation to carry out their devious extermination plan instead of bringing solution to the desperate need of the Providence people. Some of us in the diaspora have decided to open a space where we can join the rest that are home and abroad, and together bring some highlights which may solve this very serious and appalling situation. We are joined today by Dr. Ralph Newball. He is off the coast of Poole, that is south of England. Are you there, Doc? Well, we have economist Angel Britton Jr. He is in Brandon, Florida, and he's also joining us today. Mr. Angelito.
Good afternoon, Pete. Thank you for this invitation, and thank you for the opportunity to express our opinion in regards of what taking place in our island.
Yeah, so we got Dr. Ralph now.
Yes, hello, Peter. Good afternoon. Many thanks for the invitation. And yes, we hope we can talk about a few subjects that are of interest to our island.
Okay, we are expected also to be joined by a Pastor Edgardo Martinez. He is in El Paso. So if he is able to get in, then we'll just he will just come in and take part in this. The desperate need of Providence and Kathleena is to recover their homes today. But in addition to that, we must face the development of hazardous construction projects that were dead and buried. I mean, like Mount Sinai, like the Coast Guard. And then behind that, we have the invasion that they are planning. They want to bring 1,000 people to Providence, I mean, workers. And on the other hand, again, they are talking about imposing houses. I mean, some little, I say some foul cube as house for us. And I mean, these people they are nuts. I have to say they are nuts because they are nowhere near to what we would expect. So the question that I would put up here for my guest is, what are we supposed to do? How do we come out safe from this dilemma that we're in? Dr. Ralph, how you see that?
Peter, it's easy to ask the question, but it's very difficult to explore and say that you have a proper response. Of course, the priority, as you mentioned, is to get our people back on foot, get them under roofs, and get production going. It seems to me from what we can, from the experience since the hurricane, that our own people have to do their own thing. If we are going to depend on the Colombian government, the colonizers, we know them. It will be long. They will continue having interests that are not the prime interests of our people, without consulting, without even having experience themselves. They don't know what they are doing, and they don't know what needs to be done. So I would say, if we're going to do it on our own, we have to work on our own. With their help, okay, but don't depend on it. And please don't get fooled by thinking that they are going to solve all the problems, or that if they solve any problems, they will be completely without other types of interests, as we can see with the Coast Guard project and others that seem to be showing up.
Mr. Britton.
Hey, Peter, I believe the biggest problem is that these people try to approach this individually, and they believe that they could walk into Providence and solve the situation. This is not a problem of the national government. This is a problem of sitting down at a table and everybody see what you can put. The government have, how would I say, put one side the local authority, and haven't involved the community. And I think this is a process where, first of all, you need a lot of unity. The second thing that I believe is taking place is that the government doesn't have any experience about this type of construction. It's a new mindset. Not even we in Providence did have any experience about this. But it's important that whatever we do, we make sure, say, that if something like that happens in the future, at least we can be more safe. I believe that is important. And the other aspect that I believe the government did consider in this process is the cost of construction in Providence. You have a family that can take all in life building a house, and one day you wake up and everything disappears. So if the government has not had the capacity to start put the material for the people going reconstructing the house, I believe we can look at alternative, look closer places, look cheaper material, look any other type of alliance, see how we can help our people. Okay,
all right, back to Dr. Ralph here. From the first article I wrote after the hurricane, like 3 days after, I said that it was not going to happen. And I don't believe it's going to happen, that they are going to build back all our houses. So how would you think we could do, what the people should do in Providence in this moment to start doing their things and trying to get back in their houses?
Okay, as you mentioned, and as Angel mentioned, the difficulties, we don't have material. And the fear we have is that the houses that have been repaired were not repaired to withstand a hurricane, because they didn't have the right straps. In fact, the Colombians didn't know what that was, and you cannot get them on the islands. We have neighbors close by that export and have exported good lumber. We have Honduras that exports good lumber, and sometimes it used to be brought from there. And we have Nicaragua, which is close by, and it's our family, it's our blood, it's our brethren. In fact, we have to go back and try to look ways to reunite with our people, our blood brothers and sisters from the coast of Nicaragua. Someone recently mentioned to me that what Colombia and Nicaragua did is similar to what happened in Korea, that the families were divided or are still divided between the North and South. At this moment, we can't look for who Colombia sees as their enemy. We have to look for the quickest help we can get and the closest. And I think Nicaragua might be close. As I said, Honduras is also close, but Nicaragua is closer, and I think our families there would be willing to help us, not only with construction material, but also even with food. They have good fresh vegetables and fruits, which we are lacking on the island.
This is tremendous what took place here. That, I mean, just like that, when everybody's in so badly need of housing, a construction, a shelter, whatever, from one day to the other, they appeared up with a dock down there in Old Town and said that they said that they are building a Coast Guard. I thought, and I guess a lot of people like me thought, that this Coast Guard affair was dead and buried. How you see that, guys?
I see I see this as the colonizer taking advantage of the suffering of our people to do what they want. I think they are also measuring our strength, measuring how resilient we are, how resistant we are, and to see if we are going to have any response to them. It's really an insult that they come and use their effort building a dock and don't repair the roofs, for example. But on top of that, they consider that the people had not approved that they build it on top of everybody's head.
Should we have a response? And if yes, what should we respond, or how should we respond?
I believe, Peter, in that sense, number one, that process began. Was president, and 1,700 signatures of the community of Providence rejected. It was submitted in a different occasion, and definitely the people disagree with it. So what they are doing is definitely they are doing it against the will of Providence people, and the authority of Providence supposed to stop it, because it is against the will of the community of Providence. It is not being approved by the community, and they cannot embrace, because of our disaster, to begin construct against the environmental plan and against the law. We are believing that because of the IOTA, they can walk into the island and just do whatever they want. I believe that the law that existed has to be complied with or without IOTA.
What should be your response, Dr. Ralph?
I think the community has to act, and act. By saying act, I mean in several ways. One way, of course, is using Colombia's own legal weapons with tutelas and derechos de petición, or injunctions and petition requests. But personally, I think that if we have to do it more physical, I mean, I'm not there, but I feel it as if I was there. And I really think it should be blocked. You have to force them to do what is right, since they won't learn, and denounce it, in fact, internationally. People come in to put a military station without the community needing it. You know, I insist we don't need them. We don't need them. Nicaragua is not going to attack us. The Keys are not going to be attacked by a foreign nation. Why would we need them? In fact, we know of islanders who have been persecuted by them. And I remember a case that was very sad to me because it was close. I remember when they shot Hippie, and I have enough conviction. I'm very convinced that he was shot because he did not collaborate with their person there, their commander there, who of course was into drug trafficking. So we really don't need it.
Then things like this is happening in Providence today. They are saying that, I understand that they already hit down some of the people's cisterns because they are coming in there and telling the people that the cistern water is not good to drink or whatever for consumption. But that is our recourse for water for 400 years, and we don't have all these kind of things. So then how to face these kind of things? Dr. Ralph, please tell me how to face these kind of things.
We have to physically stand up. I mean, if I were there and they come to destroy my cistern, I go and lay down in there or something. But I mean, it's ridiculous. And especially with dry weather coming out, now any little water that can be saved needs to be saved. You know, they don't know who we are. They don't know how we have lived. We are a faraway colony to them, and we are people. They see us as inferior persons, as ignorant. So they would come when, without consulting, they impose what they feel is right or is best for them, but not best for us. We have to resist physically, and to resist, we have to be united. I don't feel good when somebody says, you know, make them come in, we need the house them quick, we want them fix it up quick. It's important that they be fixed, but not just what Angel was saying a while ago. If there are high-end people to come and fix houses, they don't have a plan of how the house is to be built. They don't know how to do it. So how can you hire somebody to do something, but you can't tell them what to do because you don't yourself know what to do? They destroy the cistern because that was the easiest thing to do. To construct is something that's much more difficult. Of course, they do what is the easiest thing, and they are destroying, as I said, dry weather coming now. They're leaving people without water.
Mr. Britton.
Well, I believe the first mistake that was to correct is when these politicians start offer them top asbestos top. The problem is not the cistern. The problem is the top where you use to collect the water. And I believe that is clear. Nobody not using any asbestos top anymore. But everybody, for the last, from we know ourselves, have been using cistern water to bathe, to wash, to cook, to everything. I believe the problem with these people is that, like, you take somebody from the mainland and you send them down there to the island, and then believes you is some type of stupid people down there with no type of integrity, and they don't find out what are the laws and are the custom or the culture of the people before they try to approach to solve the problem. I believe a lot of things that is happening, the majority of the time could probably be with good intention, but it's just physically ignorance of these people who is putting through the work.
Let me ask you guys, and starting with Dr. Ralph, if you think that to the end even if we wait patiently and we allow Colombia to do what they do you think that we are going to recover all these houses that are, that are destroyed and those that need to repair?
If we base our conclusion or answer to that question based on what they have done thus far, we won't wait long. We'll have to wait very long. No, the truth is, if you look up on internet, look up on history, look at Puerto Rico that had a Maria hurricane a few years ago, even the U.S. Katrina. Lots of these places have not recovered completely. So I think it's just demagogy that the president of Colombia comes and promises to fix it in 100 days or so. Eventually, we will have things fixed. But for example, my house, my grandfather's house, I don't want them to build, as you call it, a chicken coop. I want to build it back as a 2-story house with attic, the way it was, but I want it built in a way that it can withstand a hurricane. So I don't think if we depend on them, we are going to get the houses we would want to get. They will give us anything. I think we have to fight for it. And I would insist that they get the material. And if not, we should try to get it from neighbors and try to do as much work as we can ourselves. I don't believe in their promises. So the answer is, if we wait on their promises, I don't think we'll ever have houses we want.
Okay.
I don't see that.
What Mr. Britton is saying here?
Well, number one, the house them what they are accustomed to build and the type of house that they are accustomed to build, according to their budget, they can only reach to 130 minimum salary. That is 130 million pesos. The houses that Providence need, cost approximately 250 million pesos if you want it to be built anti-hurricane or anti-seismic. That means that we want to get a half-done house with that budget what them have available. The second alternative is that we have the represa there. It belongs to the alcaldía. We don't have to beg nobody no permission. We can fix the talud in the represa and we can get at least the 40-50% of the amount of rock and sand that we need, and that will bring down the cost of the construction of the houses. The other third alternative is you can't pretend to build Providence in the speed what you need using shovel. You have to bring an industrial cement mixer, and you have to put in disposition to the community with a car mixer and deliver it by cubic meter or whatever. But the way how they plan to do it is totally impossible technically, financially, and structurally. And the other thing, Peter, is that the majority of these people who was forming these committee and said they were designing these houses, the discussion done already because they become part of the system. So they don't got no moral authority to discuss nothing because all of them are government employees now. So who you want to sit down and discuss about these things when them is part of the government now?
What is it that the people are supposed to do right now then in regard to their house?
Well, the first thing is that they have to find out, instead of the fight for bringing in people, the first thing they have to find out from the government is who the government got contract for these houses, because not even the alcalde know who that the contract for them when they're coming in. So I don't know how you can go fight for some people when you don't know who they contract with, number one. Number two, the type of house that they has contract, if it don't have in the anti-hurricane code and the anti-seismic code, we are making a mistake. Because trying to rush this now and say, well, we have to do it quick. We can't forget, say, these people who are in go back Bogota every year between June and November, hurricane will come back again. The hurricane season coming back. And the problem is that when Beta hit Providence and Uribe put on the top them, that was a waste money. That was a dump money because it gone off again. So I believe it's not a problem. We understand that the people is getting wet. But you can't believe, say, an island was destroyed in the way how that was destroyed. I believe, say, in 3 months we will reconstruct it. That is totally impossible. Totally impossible, technically, financially, operatively, structurally, any kind of way how you want to put it is technically impossible.
Dr. Ralph, then what the people should do this moment? What should they think this moment in regard to that? Saying, you believe that, I believe that, Angel believe that, and I think a lot of people that know better know that they are not going to get all these houses and maybe half get and half get part or whatever. We know that it's not going to happen. So what would be your advice for the people today?
First of all, don't be desperate. It's difficult for you to accept that and know that. I know it's difficult because you're getting wet and you might be in the sun hot soon when the dry weather come in. But just be realistic in knowing that it's not going to be in 3 months or in 6 months, not even in 1 year. I think it's going to take a few years. I think 1 year from now, you will still have houses that are not repaired, some and some built. So just don't give an ear to those promises. If they could do it, yes, great. But as Angel just said, it's technically and in all aspects is impossible, and I would say it's even inconvenient. Because they will have to bring in so many things, they will have to bring in more destruction on the island, practically. The other thing is, once you accept that it cannot be done as quick as we would want it to do, well, then begin exacting that things be done how they should be done. That is, hurricane straps, proper models, proper options, not as many persons have used the word, not urbanizing the island, having most of the houses looking alike, looking the same way, you know. And the other thing is exactly to bring material, the material Angel mentioned also, that can be gotten from the dam. You can also exact from them that get covered roofing, you get lumber, you get nails, screws, and hurricane straps. Once you have all these, I think our people can help each other and gradually fix their houses. If they have to bring people from outside, do it the right way. Don't just push them in without any specific plan.
Dr. Ralph, would you think that, or if they have to bring in people, do you have a number that you would think they could bring in without causing hazard to the island?
That is difficult to say. Let me mention something. There is a general agreement based on certain studies that oceanic islands, like our island, should not have more than 300 inhabitants per square kilometer. Let's say Providence has 16 square kilometers. You would have more or less 5,000 people at maximum carrying capacity. 1,000 people more than 20% over carrying capacity. And they have brought in more than 1,000 between soldiers and people that were on asking questions, surveyors, which were unnecessary. All of them asking the same question, not not sharing information, and visitors, and even the president visiting so often. There have been too many visitors and too many persons living there at the same time for periods. So the carrying capacity is over. It will be over if they bring a lot of people there. And that's going to have more impact on an environment, on the fauna and the flora that has been practically destroyed in a big percentage. You know, what toilets are these people going to use? What are they going to bathe with? Where they're going to eat? I mean, it's a lot of considerations that where they're going to sleep, where they're going to put them up. You know, we don't want them living with islanders. I don't think it's convenient to do that. I guess they will put them up in some camps, you know. So I don't see convenient to have a lot of people on the island. And I can't estimate how much they would need, but I would say small groups, maybe 200 or 300, but I don't see where 1,000 would be well tolerated on the island.
Mr. Britton, what is your answer to that question?
Well, I am totally convinced that environmentally we got a great impact. First of all, because if they're trying to bring in 1,000 people, the first thing that you do is stop broke down the system them and the toilet to exist, because you know I got enough toilet to so much people. Number one. Number two, we can't stop thinking that the problem is definitely the food. If we in this moment and the government have been responsible with Dr. Ralph Foundation, they send down there a cold room and a machine, and then go on and they make the show and then deliver a cold room to the fishermen them. I still yet they do try help them not even to install it or put on the lights. So that was just a show. We need to put for people to go back go fishing so we can get food to eat. If we not got food to eat, we self how I feed 1,000 more. Number one. Number two, we're talking about agriculture and the problem with the water. As Doc said, we are going to face now a strong dry weather, and we have to have the possibility of I get to assume all those things. I do believe that if they was supposed to do everything correctly, the people and what they are bringing is not the right person. Because I believe somebody from Swacha don't know nothing about hurricane straps. So automatically it's a mistake the people and what they are bringing, because they don't have the technical capacity to do if they go and do the correct thing. If they know and do it the correct way, well, you can bring anybody and you can put on the top and you can make the show, but that no one solve the problem.
Okay, I've got to this reflection after what Dr. Ralph has said, what Angel have said to this, the previous question. If we think that the houses are not going to be fixed in 3 months, it's not going to be fixed in 6 months, and they're not going to be fixed in a year, and then what about if then we should ask the government, Colombian government, to make instead of talking about these houses and this and that and the other, to really deposit the material in Providence, the lumber and the cement and whatever we need for constructing, nails and all the things that we need for construction and tools, and then deliver it out to the people according to their needs, and let everybody take the time and build back their houses. I mean, each person could box up something with the same material and getting it who is totally outside, right? And who have the house half, where they could put something, make 2 rooms or whatever, get in it, and fix up their house the right way. Meaning this, I mean, I'm saying this, if they're going to take all these time to do it, then why don't we do it and do it the right way and do it our way? Dr. Ralph?
Yes, yes, that's a wonderful idea, Peter. But I think but Angel had a better idea. He presented, and I became a part of his group of friends of the island. Um, Presented a proposal to the government to make a laboratory, and I'm sure he can share more on this. A laboratory which is to gather the families and have a workshop with them, like a 2-3 4 week workshop. Show them how the houses, how the straps, how everything should be done, and organize them in groups. Have families to build their own foundation according to the instructions they would receive, with engineers watching them and assisting them, and some other workers, of course, assisting them, and gradually build up their own house the right way and the way they want it. Um, that is used all over the world. There's an organization named Habitat for Humanity. They have a laboratory that is like that. There is an organization in Antioquia that offered the government something similar. Antioquia Presente, they have a foundation named Biva, and they have done that. And Brother Angel can give his experience in other places where they build 500 homes quite quickly and stuff like that. So it's something which would have organized and sped up the whole recovery of the island. The problem is that the Colombian government, to me, is just arrogant. And they also want to create dependency. They want islanders to depend more and more on them. I say arrogant because other places that have had similar disasters, one of the first things they do is request international support. We have countries that have gone through similar situations, and they know what is the first thing they should do and the steps they should do initially to solve an immediate problem, then gradually to get back into recovery and then get into progress. I mean, they have steps that they follow. They are well organized. This government did not have any experience, and they still did not request for international help. We had somebody that we interviewed who was telling us, one of the first things you have to do is know who are diabetics. Be careful what they eat. People with high blood pressure, with heart problems, shouldn't be eating a lot of tuna and, stuff like that. And he described to us exactly what we were seeing in Providence. But he had that experience from other hurricanes in other places, and he's a world expert. I asked him if he would come to the island and help. He said, we can't do it because the Colombian government has to request it. Part of his group went and installed some desalinating plants in Kathleena using solar power. He's part of that same group. But that group with the solar power desalinators, they had to be invited. They practically begged to be invited because the government did not want them to come. So it's, as I said, they are arrogant. They feel they can know and do everything, but at the same time, they want to have us believe that if we don't stick to them, if we don't follow what they say and close our mouth, then we are no good. We are not capable of doing anything. That's creating dependency. And that's what we don't want. We know who we are. We know what we have lived, and we know what our ancestors have lived. Colombia doesn't know that.
Yes, sir. But then still I will ask you this question, Dr. Ralph. You said that Colombia want to create dependency, right? And I believe you 100% because that is the colonialistic affair. At the same time that they are creating that dependency, they are exploiting your things and exploiting you and using you. Good. But tell me something. Suppose we should say, well, okay, we are totally depending on Colombia. Is Colombia dependable?
Again, by their fruits you shall know them, right? The experiences we have had with Colombia, and again, San Andres as a mirror. what San Andres is today, you know, and I would say it's a miracle, and all this hurricane was a miracle, and we have to thank our creator for this. But if that hurricane had hit San Andres, the overpopulation will have been decreased by taking out dead bodies and not by doing a carrying capacity study and planning a repatriation as should be done. Colombia can't sit that because they want to keep us dependent and, of course, keep islanders as a minority in our archipelago. And for them, what's important, sovereignty. If you listen to what the general mentioned when they were justifying the construction of the Coast Guard base by TV, he was talking of sovereignty. That's their interest. So yes, we cannot trust them. No way.
Let's go to Angel. I want to hear what Angel would say to that question that I just asked Dr. Ralph. Is Colombia dependable? Could we say that we are going to depend on Colombia, Mr. Britton?
Well, I believe behind all this process, if they want to do it, they should do it. And they can do it because they have all the legal instruments to do it. And at least they should pay back some of the damage that what they did. I would believe if they want to do it, they should do it as part of a compensation of 1 century of trying to destroy us. But one of the things that is very important here is that these people, a part of arrogant, they are ignorant. A part of arrogant, they are ignorant. When we make this exercise and we submit it to them from the 14th of December. So it's not something that we say we are improvising. No, we submit a proposal to them and we advise them, say, that the island should adopt a different construction code, because if we don't do it, we are going to be in danger in the future. We never had was to go on to beg permission to the ministerial vivienda to tell them, say, we want to take some house to our people, but we did it as just was to make sure, say, we follow up all the rules, so afterward they don't have no excuse. When I went to the ministerial vivienda, we offered them to make a laboratory in Providence, and we didn't want to construct 10 houses. We did it was to go through the rule, but I feel like I don't need no permission from no national government to take material if I want to bring it from Russia, from Nicaragua, from nowhere to help our people build the houses. I believe we're not supposed to make that mistake and believe, say, the Unidad de Gestión de Riesgo is who have the control of that. The alcalde and all the authorities supposed to come together and put a stop to this thing. I believe that is the alternative.
So, Mr. Britton and Dr. Ralph, my question to that then is would it be right or good or necessary this moment that who have their friends down there in Nicaragua and have their lunch and things, go down there and look material and look food and look whatever, despite what the government would want to say or want to stop? Should we just be that they would call it civil disobedience and be civilly disobedient and go and do that, Dr. Ralph?
I don't see that as civil disobedience. Colombia, from what I understand, has some laws, what they call the frontier laws, that allows the departments that are in frontiers to have relations with the neighboring countries. Besides that, we are indigenous. We are an indigenous people, and we have that is defended internationally. You see the Guajiros in Venezuela and in the Guajiro in Colombia. interacting across the frontier without any problem, because that's our right as indigenous people. Now, we are part of our indigenous people are the coast of Nicaragua. You know, Colombia should not put any obstacles for us to go there. And I would say, if we had the boats to go and bring material, I would be one that would try to convince organization to sponsor bringing those materials. We don't have the boats, but if we had them, I would be one of the first one to push for it, to bring food, fresh food, because we don't have fresh food, and to bring building material, lumber, and other material from there. And again, I don't see that as civil disobedience. That's our rights. And unfortunately, our authority has not developed itself to where we would want it to be. Our Raizal authority should be an authority, and we are hoping that with the change with Pastor Gordon and the new members, they will really exert the authority that we should have, that the community give them, that the Raizal people, the Raizal indigenous people, give them the authority to be our president, to be our government. So they could easily interact with the authorities in the coast who are our family and who are part of our indigenous people. So again, I would do it. I would encourage it.
Angel.
Peter, it's just like we afraid to say about Nicaragua, because we believe the people and say they were call us, how you call it,
separatists.
Separatists. Look, Nicaragua, how many miles is from San Andres and Providence?
It's around 80 to 100, 80, yeah. The closest point is about 80 miles.
And what is the farthest? How many miles from the closest coast to Colombia?
Well, that's about 480. That's 400 more.
All right. So if we put little common sense on it, that means it's cheaper to transport materials from Nicaragua. Number one, it's cheaper. The material what they are giving us is bad quality material, and a part of that, they are giving the people the bad quality material. They are doing it in a way that, like, you know, this type of where or you take it or you take it, and that is what we're giving you. So they are doing it with a lot of like humiliation. So I believe, number one, by common sense, it is closer operatively, it is more effective in time, and I believe it's better material than the one that they are taking to the island. So I got no doubt that is an excellent alternative. But I insist that if you all remember when we were building the dam in Providence, we build the dam out of the rock and the sand from right out of the land. We're not got no problem now because the land belongs to the alcaldía. Number one. We don't to hard was to enough rock and sand was to carry down barge load San Andres. I remember they used to carry down barge load to San Andres. Well, it's the moment for Providence make the sacrifice, put the material. And when we talk about these lab, Peter, it's just a matter of organization of the people. You got some that dig the hole. You got some coming behind where I put the foundation. You got some other group where they make the brick. You got a whole group that make the brick. You got the woman them they cook and they roll the pot. And it's a matter of get the community together and make we take out someone with dignity and stop believe that these people coming can build a house. Nobody from Colombia will build our house if we don't build it ourselves.
Okay, so Dr. Ralph and Angel, we come to a conclusion here. I want you to say your message to, for today. what is your message for today in regard to what we dealt with here? What you want to tell the people as your conclusion?
Peter, my message to our people is that for those that we have as try to create discussion where it doesn't exist. We are not in Providence helping not because of we don't want, it's just because of circumstances of life in this moment. And the next thing is that we are telling our people to keep courage. We know it has been a difficult moment, definitely. Sometimes I feel very bad not being there to contribute a little. But definitely we have to come together. Don't make these people continue to divide us. And definitely we have to be more critical and surround our leaders, surround the alcaldes, surround our authority, and definitely start do things in a different way. I still like we are still on in the right moment to make a few adjustments. And just remember that these people in a few months more will be returning to Bogota. And we are the one that is going to stay down there.
You bet that.
All these difficulties.
Dr. Ralph.
Yes, I would add to what Brother Angel has said, that we must remember who we are, remember where we came from. Remember that all of us are blood family on the island in Providence. We have to trust ourselves more than we trust the people from outside. We have to support ourselves more than we support the other people from outside. From history, we know we cannot trust them. We have heard of people coming to buy land, offering to trade land for cars and things like that. Nothing like that must go on. Nobody should sell an inch of land. Education and health are our rights. And these kind of these countries, the people that they send to the islands don't respect us. And they want to take advantage of the hurricane and that we have been our people has been suffering for all these months to offer them money, to offer them things in exchange for the land. Please let us keep together, support each other. If you are in a need where you think you have to sell land, ask for help. We will find a way of doing it. But don't sell an inch of land. Let's keep together and let's work together and let's rebuild together.
Okay, thank you very much, boys, for this moment and for...
Peter,
yeah.
Before you close, may I make a final comment?
Please, sir.
What I would like to tell our people is that this hurricane has united the people who is in the exterior. We have approximately 250 people from the island coming together. And we are willing to go to all the alternatives, if it's necessary, to the United Nations, to all the authorities that have to make sure so they make a overlook on this process. And we want to tell them, say they are not alone. And maybe we are not there in this moment, but we're battling with them. And they must just get courage and stand up and do obligate to themselves to these people.
We'll be back in very soon for another close look to what is happening in Providence.